Welcome to 6 Feet in the Six. I'm your host, Jeff Barrett with Business Interiors. Thank you for joining us today. The purpose of this interview series is for the close-knit Toronto commercial real estate industry to share ideas and best practices in order to help everyone get back to the office safely and efficiently. Joining us today is Sharon Portelli, Executive Director and Registrar for the Association of Registered Interior Designers of Ontario, also known as ARIDO. Sharon, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Can you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. I am the Executive Director and Registrar, so I've got two kind of dual roles within the organization with ARIDO. I am closing in on my 10th year with the organization, and it still feels like it's the early kind of, the first couple of years within the organization, but 10 years just kind of goes by pretty quickly. Prior to ARIDO, I actually worked in the financial sector doing a lot of the same work that I do at ARIDO. So a standard setting, disciplinary kind of framework for the financial sector. And so what I did before ARIDO was run disciplinary proceedings, enforce a code of ethics, practice standards, and run tribunals on financial advisors across Canada. And so that was not a path I initially saw myself getting into. I kind of fell into the non-for-profit world. I actually I graduated high school in Toronto, packed my bags, moved to Europe where my family, both my parents are originally from, which is the country of Malta, studied abroad for a couple of years and then returned and just kind of fell into a part-time position with a non-for-profit, which was the Financial Advisors Association of Canada, and just started as a student helping out while I continued some of my studies. And that turned into from a six-month placement to a year to full-time. And then before I knew it, I was kind of growing within the organization. And I was very fortunate. My boss at the time actually mentored me for 7 years and actually taught me how to run all aspects of a non-for-profit. And so that's really the trajectory that got me to where I am with ARIDO today. So I was one of the very fortunate individuals in the non-for-profit sector who had a great mentor, boss, and who just showed me the ropes. And, at one point he left and moved on, and I continued to move up within the organization, and then decided it was time to changed gears and left the financial sector, came to the wonderful world of interior design, not really knowing really what they did. I think I was one of those consumers that had a lot of perceptions around what interior design is, what they focus on. And now in going into my 10th year, have such a greater understanding of what they do and appreciation for it as well.
So personally, how are you managing?
I'm managing well. I'm not going to lie, I am enjoying the work from home. It's been great to cut my commute. I was commuting previously. I live in Burlington, so I no longer have the 1 hour commute in the morning and then the 1 hour commute at night on the GO train. So there are certain things I don't miss. We have a little dog, so he's really been living his best life with me being at home every day, and that's something he's not really been used to. So he gets a lot more attention, has a lot more company during the day. He's not always by himself waiting for kind of someone to come home. And then I think the great thing personally is I've finally found in the working from home process, I found a little bit of the work-life balance in that I'm actually finding more time for myself to take care of me and work out or go for a walk, take a break at some point. So that's been really enlightening to see that, because I never thought I would reach that point where you've got a great work-life balance. And I feel like now I have been over the last, 6 months now we're into, have really realized that I've gotten to that place. So it's been great, actually.
That's great. No, it's something I found really valuable about this time is just having time to take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. We're always go on the run. And as soon as this happened, I was fortunate. I have some gym equipment here, and I called my old trainer, and I've been really taking advantage of this time to train and eat healthy. So, and I see the Peloton bike in the background there. Must be a savior during quarantine.
Yeah, we've had it for about a year. I brought it home in July of 2019. I had The building that the ARIDO offices are in, there's a gym. And as I guess, you know, an organization that has a unit, owns a unit, we have access to the gym. And they had actually brought in a Peloton bike. And so I brought my shoes in one day and said, you know, let's just see what this is all about. And then it just started, the obsession kind of started from there. It does turn into an obsession. And the staff can tell you that every day I was walking with my shoes in my hands, going downstairs, changing, you know, getting a little bit of a workout, and just breaking up my day and just doing something for myself. And then I loved it so much. I thought my husband would find some great joy out of it too. And we went for a test run at, I think, Square One. They had a pop-up at the time. And he loved it, and so we brought it home, and we've had it for a year before, really about a year, just under, before the shutdown occurred. So it really did come in handy, actually.
Can you tell me about your book of business and how it's been affected by COVID-19?
Absolutely. So I think first, maybe we start with, as a non-for-profit, it's a little different for us. We don't necessarily have a book of business, but we do have a membership. And so as a non-for-profit membership organization, we have roughly 1,000 registered members, so those who have become qualified. And then we also have around 550 intern members who are coming up the ranks, doing their experience and their supervised work experience, and then writing their exams to get to that qualified state. And then we also have roughly about just under 1,000 students from 9 interior design programs across Ontario. And then we've got some educators and some retired interior designers. So, you know, roughly we've got a base of up to close to 3,000 individuals within the organization. And so for ARIDO, when the interesting thing about COVID is it actually almost amplified the purpose of the organization. It gave us a larger purpose as to how do we support our members through the pandemic. And from, I would say, the end of March to, I would say, literally the first 2 weeks of May, for that time period, that 6 to 7 weeks or so, we were the support line for the membership, in the sense that if they weren't sure if their construction project could move forward, if they were allowed or not allowed to be on site, if they were allowed to have meetings in person with their clients or with other, say, external consultants, we literally took on the role of ceasing most of our other activities that we normally would have been carrying out as far as operations during those 5 to 6 weeks. And we amplified the support piece and became the go-to resource for our members with respects to interpreting the emergency orders. So if you had a permit in before the 6th, March the 6th, what does that mean? If you haven't submitted for permit, what does that mean for you and for your project, and what's your next step? And so we spent a lot of that time period walking them through the rules, the legislation that was in place. And then we also teamed up. We were very fortunate to already have in place a relationship with a law firm that specialized in construction law. We're Folds, and we have a contact, 2 contacts, 2 leading partners who just were so supportive, gave a lot of pro bono hours to ARIDO and other organizations, and just worked with us to make sure that our interpretation of the emergency orders and the legislation, you know, and even some of the health and safety restrictions that were in place at the time, that we were guiding our members in a reliable way and in an accurate way.
So normally I ask guests, what changes do you see coming to the commercial office post-vaccine? But you know, you're not really in that position in working with those types of clients. So I thought I'd ask, what changes do you see coming to the interior design profession post-vaccine?
I would say from a business practice standpoint, I think they're already there. They're looking at alternative ways They're taking, as far as design goes, they're taking into consideration pandemic-related pieces. So physical distancing, product and materials that they should be recommending now to clients, and looking at more innovative ways to meet the design needs of the client while also trying to bring forward a safe environment that meets the guidelines of health and safety today. So I think that's just going to continue to evolve. I would say what I think is going to be happening and what we're starting to see already, a lot of existing businesses are rethinking their current floor plan. They're reconsidering how much space they have. They're reconsidering if they are going to deploy a full-on work from home operation, or if they're going to be looking at a hybrid setup where the staff are in several days of the week within the office and then they're working from home other days of the week. So I think that's going to continue for a bit. I think the great thing is that many companies have become more accommodating, more understanding, and more embracive of the work from home kind of structure. I don't think there was a lot of businesses out there prior to the pandemic who realized the value of being open to it, being very persistent that the staff had to be physically in the office versus taking a look at where they have to be in the office and where they could work from home. And so for those businesses, I think they will continue to look at that contingency plan. So what happens if this happens a year from now again, or something similar where we have to deploy work from home? I think those businesses that were not prepared will start to build that contingency plan. And then how does that plan tie into their space and the needs of their space if they keep them? I've had some conversations with our real estate broker, and he's been hearing a lot from his commercial clients, that they're looking to downsize their space because they're looking to deploy a hybrid, kind of framework. And my response to him was, but they're going to still need more space. So how do you properly physically distance everyone and have enough space in things like common areas, and even your workstations if you go to a smaller floor plate? And so it was great to have that conversation with him, because I think not everyone's thinking of those pieces. And I think the more our members, interior designers, can get in front of clients before they pick a space, which isn't always what happens. Sometimes clients get the space, find the rental space or buy the property, and then bring in an interior designer or a consultant. I think it would be great if our members could shift that conversation. And I guess that should be ARIDO's job as well. Having the conversation before the client selects the space would be more ideal, so that they can really understand if it fits the model that they need to deploy at the end of the day, and their design needs. And so I would love to see that happen. I think it's going to be a bit of a slow process, but I can see our members hopefully being brought in more at the front end of the conversation versus here's the space we've secured and now we need an interior designer to bring a design forward. So I'm hoping that's where it will go. And again, that's our job as the association to push some of that messaging out.
Crazy concept, Sharon, bringing all the experts in before you find the space. Wow. Instead of just finding the box and then jamming everyone in there.
That's right.
I mean, that's obviously been a problem forever. Real estate companies, not engaging interior designers early stages, and we base it off of like, all right, well, 120 square feet per person. How many people do we have? Let's go find that office. And sometimes that's as simple as it can be. So for sure, they need to be engaged earlier. But we've talked about this on previous episodes. I mean, activity-based design, whether you want to call your project that or not, every project is activity-based. Even if you're just determining how many meeting rooms you need, like that's based on the number of activities your company participates in. So the interior design profession has been figuring that out for clients forever. Now we just have a new setting. And so there's a huge opportunity. We shouldn't be worried about our jobs or anything. It's like, well, we help our clients solve these bigger problems that are just about space. And so now we can, I think about my cousin. He works for TELUS and he's in customer service. He's worked from home for like 12 years now. So, they had deemed that his activities day to day are better suited at home. He doesn't need to be in the office. And so, companies have been having these conversations forever. Now interior designers can just, bring themselves to the forefront to be able to help solve these bigger problems. So Sharon, on each episode, we do a product review. Sometimes it's a new product. Sometimes it's an old product that has recently gained some relevancy. I'll be honest, I'm running out of products that are interesting to talk about on this show. And a couple of the guests have taken the opportunity to use the platform to get some of their own information out there. So moving forward, I'm going to give all the guests that option. So Sharon, the floor is yours. I'm going to let you present anything you have going on at ARIDO, any cool projects that you're working on, and any information you want to get out to your members.
Great, thanks, Jeff. So I think one of the things our members are not entirely always aware of. I know we send information out by email and newsletters, and I know it's hard to keep up with everything, but we actually have a blog on the ARIDO website, and if you were to click on Find an Interior Designer, it actually takes you to blog ARIDO, and this is a great tool, and we're actually trying to get our members to participate and to be a part of the blog. And essentially, the blog is a public-facing platform which is serves two purposes. One, it is a place for anyone who's looking to find a qualified interior designer to find them through the directory that's listed here. So only ARIDO registered members are listed on the directory. But the other great thing is that we actually work with our members and we'll actually post articles on projects that they've worked on. And these articles are a great way to showcase what our members are doing, what they're working on, and they can have very different topics. It covers both residential, commercial, so there can be an assortment of different projects that our members can showcase. You can see up at the top, we've got education spaces, shops and retail, restaurants, healthcare. The reason I mention this is because we are trying to kind of get more content from our members. And now with the pandemic and everything that you and I have talked about today, we'd really love to see our members submit some content as to what suggestions they have, what innovative kind of design approaches that they're looking at that tie into projects moving forward that can either help educate the consumer or help to educate other organizations like real estate, the real estate brokers, landlords, construction managers. What are some of the considerations that we should be starting a conversation around? And I think, the last piece we talked about, which is how do we make sure that interior designers are engaged before a client finds their space. This is actually the platform that we would like to start developing some new content around topics such as that. So this is a great platform for that. And actually for members, the directory is actually how someone, either a member of the public or someone within the industry, can find our members. They can build profiles, they can load their photos. So they can actually have a link to their website, have a link to an online portfolio. And then the great thing is that if they do post any articles or any projects here and they have a fully completed profile, you can actually connect what they've submitted as far as their articles and the work that they've done that we are promoting and their profile. And you can actually see more articles. So it really is turning into a great base and foundation for where to find a qualified person and how to engage them, and then also some interior design knowledge and awareness of projects that they're working on. So we're really looking at bringing some of that COVID-19 kind of content to this platform and just starting to push the next phase of what this blog looks like.
That's great, Sharon. If you think about when you normally hire an interior designer, I'm thinking commercial, it's when you're moving, right? And so you have a real estate company involved, you have a PM involved, and they're the ones that usually do that legwork. But now people are just looking to outfit their space that they already live in. They're not moving. There's no real estate company involved. So this is so timely where an end user can come on here and find the appropriate designer and not maybe have to pay a project manager to procure one for them. So this has got to be hugely valuable. And it looks like it's turning into like a Facebook for interior design, like a community, right? I think the more content you get up there, I think will be really valuable. And I know the ARIDO community is big on learning from each other. So they're going to be happy to do so. So this is a great initiative. What do you see kind of the future for your some of these tools?
So we've actually posted some already, which is, how do I hire a qualified interior designer? So some of the non-COVID-19 related pieces are starting to go up now. We also have several pieces that are close to being finalized, which is, an RFP document. So how do you put together an RFP for interior design services? We've also got some other pieces coming up that help on the education side first, and then the pandemic related pieces and the work with the government. I'm hoping we will have that work, that development work finalized, I would say within the next 2 months. Maybe by November, we're launching some of those pieces.
Well, that's great. And I'll just say this to any real estate professional that's watching the show. These interior designers will join you on your calls and have conversations with your clients free of charge. I'm sure of it. They are super interested in meeting end users and people that need help, and you don't need to pay them every time you engage them. So, the best thing we can do right now is put our heads together and get a designer, a real estate person, a medical director, a furniture person, get all these heads around a table to solve these problems. It's the best thing we can do right now. So don't be shy to engage an interior designer. I'm sure they're waiting for your call.
I agree. I think collaboration, as you said, Jeff, it's a win-win for everyone, and it amplifies the output. It just makes for a better project at the end of the day, and I think, as you said, everyone learns from it as well. So I agree with you on that.
Sharon, is there anything else you want the Six to know about you or ARIDO and how you're joining the fight against COVID-19?
I think just what we had mentioned previously, Jeff, that interior designers, they are a resource. They specialize in the interior environment, regardless if it's your home or your office or your retail shop. I think the one last thing I will say that I run into quite a bit is the misconception of what they do. And that is that they are there to pick your paint colors and arrange your mobile furniture in a way that looks great. Everyone always thinks there is the aesthetics as their major contribution to the interior space, and it goes beyond that. It's all about accessibility standards and compliance with building code and what the best foot travel is throughout the office in the event of a fire or something, some other kind of emergency. So leveraging interior designers to figure out how do you move forward next with your interior space, considering COVID-19, especially if you have an office or some kind of commercial space. They will help you navigate through that, and not just what's the best design, what are the best materials, what's the best product, what are some of the considerations you as an owner may not have considered that are really important considerations. Leverage them, utilize them, and then make sure that they're qualified is the last thing that I would say, because in Ontario anyone can practice interior design. Because it is a bit of an open market, but ARIDO registered members are the ones that you want to look for because they've actually gone through education, supervised work experience, and then they've also written North American exams to become qualified. So they have training on building code, on accessibility standards, on fire codes, and that's really important when you're picking materials for your space. for example. So, you know, if you are looking in particular at commercial spaces, but also residential spaces, make sure that the person you are hiring, do your research, do it in advance, which sometimes isn't always the case. I get a lot of calls and complaints from clients who have hired somebody in the project, didn't go right, and now they're over budget by thousands of dollars, and then they call us. And unfortunately, my bad news to them is they're not an ARIDO member, so we can't really intervene and help that client out, and there's no disciplinary action that can come out of it. And then that usually kind of snowballs down to the person might not be qualified, they might not have all of the training needed to consult on things like building code, accessibility, some of the really important pieces. And so the project is done or on a pause, and I can't intervene and help them, and now they've got to hire somebody else, which is unfortunate. So my recommendation is, regardless of who you are, if you are going to look at hiring an interior designer, do your research, go to the ARIDO website, you know, go to the directory and take your time and pick the right person, and even narrow it down to 3 or 4 interviews with 3 or 4 different firms, and find the right firm that's the right fit for you. Because this is also a personal decision. Even though it's a business decision, it's a personal relationship, and the fit has to be right as well. So that would be my kind of parting words, is definitely utilize them, but do your homework and don't rush the hiring process. Take your time, hire the right company, and reach out to ARIDO if you need to have a conversation around it or need some guidance.
Thank you, Sharon, for sharing how you and ARIDO are joining the fight against COVID-19. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Toronto, you're the best city in the world, and we can't wait for you to feel better again. Well, let me see them now.
Hey, come here. Come up here. What's this? What's this? Come see. Come here. Oh, you don't want to be seen now? You don't want to be seen.
Camera shy? Oh, he's adorable.
Okay, okay.